Welcome, everyone. You've done a lot of talking, you've done a lot of meeting, perhaps you've done a lot of thinking. What I'd like you to do now is to do some witnessing and some feeling, because this is about honoring people who do work for us in this community, honoring the life cycles of organizations. These at times exhilarating, at other times terrifying phases of having to change because circumstances change. So please open your minds and hearts to the people who run organizations and enterprises in our community and explore with each other, with them in your own heart, what it means to sit in the liminal spaces, the place of discomfort, the place of emergence, the place of terror, perhaps. So here, from Tessa, all the way around to David, supported by Seb, we have this band of courageous people who have said, yes, I will sit in the circle and will share my lived experience of what it means to be part of beginnings, rites of passages, changes, transitions, downsizing, upsizing, pivoting, whatever, and endings. There are many more in this room, and certainly many more in the community who could sit here, but as you can see, it's pretty crowded. So we just want to give thanks for you all to be willing to sit here for us and to share your lived experience, what it means to give your life to a purpose, to an organization, to serve your community in this way. So each section will start. We have these conversations in sections. So the beginning section will be for 15 minutes, then 15 minutes rites of passage, 15 minutes ending, and then 15 minutes for a new thing that Ecopia has started, which is to give an annual Lifetime Achievement Award. So each section, the participants will start with saying, I sit in this section because, and then they hand the microphone on. And hopefully by the end of that brief sharing, they will have bonded enough that they feel safe enough to speak about their very personal experience of what it means to sit in that energy stream of organizational life. Fasil has the wonderful role of timekeeper, and he will give the group a warning 2 minutes before the 15 minutes are up, 1 minute before the 15 minutes are up, and at the end, when you do have to hand on the microphone. The microphone is a walking stick. The person who has it will talk, and everyone here in the room hopefully will listen with their full heart and their full ears. I think I've said everything. So beginnings. I'm borrowing Jonathan's strapline for beginnings because on his email he says, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power and magic in it. Begin it now. That's from Goethe, but it's really been popularized by W.H. Murray. And the other phrase that has kept running through me when I was looking at these energies was this inside card we picked as a community in February, which says, you nourish the new, affirm the highest, and behold the best in life while giving constant thanks for it. Over to you, Jonathan, take us away.
Okay, I sit here because I'm part of the emergent education circle in this community.
I'm Anne. I sit here because I've just started my own accountancy practice.
I'm Callie, and I sit here for Cullerin House, who once again is going through another incarnation.
Hi, I sit here. I'm Wendy because I'm one half of Love That Loaf that bakes bread for you all.
Hi, I'm Phil. I sit here because I'm the other half of Love That Loaf.
Hello, I'm here because I am part of the Findhorn Foundation SKIO. I'm Terry.
I'm Tessa. I'm taking off my host hat and I'm putting on my hat for sitting on the board of Ecovillage Findhorn CBS, envisioning and embodying the next era of our community. Do you have another starting statement or anywhere to begin? Suggestions?
Who is willing to be courageous and tell us what it feels like to work with the beginning energy? Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne.
Hello, I'm starting my own accountancy practice, but I've been an accountant for 30 plus years. And for 20 of those, I've worked for my husband in his accountancy practice. And my husband last year had a stroke and he's recovered really well, but he hates admin. So I said, well, I'll start the accountancy practice and you can be my employee. And I'm just minded of what's been said about sometimes some spaces are uncomfortable and sometimes you have to work through those issues. So when the employee becomes the employer and vice versa, there's a dance that happens. And I'm in that interesting space at the moment. The other thing I would say is, as an accountant, I've helped lots of small practices, small enterprises start. And I've thought, oh, it's so easy. It's actually really difficult and frustrating, and things take longer than you think they will do. And having lived through that experience, I'm going to approach this in a different way with my clients now. I don't know if anybody wants to share about the pangs of birthing a new enterprise.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you talk about it like pangs of birthing. I think you could have quite a few analogies there. There's the optimism. It's like you need the optimism and the vision, that the belief, yes, we can do this, and kind of believing in our product and Phil's fabulous recipe for bread. And then it arrives, you've done all the planning, it arrives, and it's like, shit, that's a lot of work. It's all consuming. Our kids just like, really? Are we going to talk about dough? Again. So there's a lot of analogies with birthing. I think it's really changed our lives, hasn't it? Kind of the intensity. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, indeed, I totally will support that. The other thing that I found was interesting was actually working full-time with my partner, my wife, which worked surprisingly well, but... Yeah, she's swallow this thing. And what, having started now, the third business that I've ever had, this was the easiest in some respects because we had a market was already there, which was fantastic. But on the other hand, I've been baking bread for 14 sourdough bread for 14 years, and the transformation from that to commercial production was enormous and knackering, to be quite honest.
I think one thing that we all share in the beginnings, talking about the dough, is the financial constraints. I think that's something shared. I think it's easy to start when we have an endless bankroll, but that extra constraint really makes it a lot more difficult. And also having the available hands. There's so much work to do when you're starting, and it's just, how do we get those people? How do you pay for them? And that's a constant struggle that I feel that we can relate with. On the other hand, Ecovillage Findhorn is a membership organization, which is something we might not share. And that adds another level of complexity. We want to be as transparent and engaging as possible with all our members. We have around 370 now. And that's a really exciting process. And we can share that vision with a large group of people who can help us on the way, because they all believe with us that we're all working towards something together. And that's a wonderful strength of having a membership organization as well, is this shared vision. And that is something that's so strong for organizations in the beginning stages. It's so important to have that beginning vision that everyone can sort of gravitate around and support. That's a huge strength of being in the beginnings. And yeah, I think it also creates a lot of complexity being a part of a membership organization, because then we do take in all that feedback from other people. How can we improve? What are the other opinions, ideas? So in that way, it adds another layer of complexity for us. But I say it's been wonderful to have the support of the community, and working with that, our other strengths and weaknesses has been very eye-opening. And yeah, I think we're just living on that vision, and that's helping to propel us to the next stages of our development.
Yeah, I think you hit a really good point, which is it's wanting to do a lot immediately and having a finite set of resources. So you've got to be very careful about what we take on. I think, struggle every day with deciding, is it this or is it that? Or why can't we do both? And eyes often bigger than stomach in terms of wanting to achieve things. So it's somewhat disappointing on a daily basis to say, well, I have to pick. Am I going to do this or am I going to do that? Because you just can't do everything in one day, even though you might.
I'll speak to the ups and downs of Cullerin House, but I think most importantly is our 48, 49 investors that have stood behind us. And even though it gets really quiet and we don't know quite what our next steps are, they're always there. So currently, 2 years ago, we purchased the place, and it's been a B&B, a small B&B, so that we could pay the bills. And we're hoping to transform it into an educational center. And we have Jonathan's help and Dell's help and much help. But it's also pretty frightening, because if it doesn't work, what do we do? Do we sell it? Do we this? Do we that? We have 48, 49 people that are counting on us. And then we also have all that spirit too. So.
I want to speak to the excitement at the beginning, because I'm talking about the education circle, and there is just so much possibility and enthusiasm within this community, and skill. And it is actually how to hold that lightly and how to not put it into form too quickly, to actually be in that space of letting the enthusiasm, letting the possibilities bubble for a bit. Yes, it is important in the long run, because our community needs to be viable, and this is part of it, and it has always been part of this community, is that how can it have a positive impact, not just on this community, but throughout the world. Yes, we are small, we are insignificant in a way, but we are a catalyst for change. How can we do that? And how can we hold it lightly? And that's what has really inspired me in the different, in the meetings that we have right now. Yes, there's going to be some hard graft at some point, but right now it is really doing extremely well.
The other thing I would want to say is, right at the start of things, you have so many dreams, and you think, I could do this, I could do that, and that. And the hardest thing is to narrow down that choice. Something that has really helped me is ikigai, which is the sweet spot of something at which you excel, something that you love, something the world needs, and something you can get paid for. And that's a really good sweet spot to aim for. As an accountant, I have some conflict there because I know I can potentially earn a lot of money doing things that don't feed my soul. And I know a lot of accountants who make that choice. I personally am making a choice to work with people and communities that feed my soul and feed their communities. And I'm more than happy to accept a lower income to do that. But it's consciously saying that's a path I'm not going to travel, and I'm going to travel this one. So you start off with a map of the world, and you gradually have to choose your path. And those choices are really difficult, and sometimes you need somebody to walk alongside you and help you walk that path. Somebody who's maybe been there before and can help you. I don't know if anyone else feels like that.
I know when we were talking about stepping into this role, we had a lot of conversations with a lot of people from all different areas, and we used them as sounding boards to get feedback, get ideas, what could we do, what couldn't we do, ways of structuring, from like ways of structuring the business itself. And that was a really important phase, wasn't it, that probably supported us the whole. I mean, we set up our business very quickly. We in about 6 weeks, from kind of saying yes to the idea to baking our first bread. So it was pretty intense. The universe conspired because the kids had gone away to Italy for most of that time. So we actually had the time to do it. So we didn't need to worry about eating and, structuring our lives in any other way. But yeah, all the people that supported us, and I think just knowing that there was support, that people were enthusiastic, even if they couldn't give us more information than their enthusiasm, that was really important to feel that what we were offering was exciting to people. Anybody else want to?
Thank you. Coming from a business background, one of the things that was drilled into us during my degree is being very clear on your purpose, your mission, your aims. That really helps you to create a roadmap into what you're wanting to achieve and how you're going to achieve it. And it is really possible sometimes to have these questions and these choices of what do we go down, balancing our passions and our desires and where our heart wants to go this way and where our head wants to go that way, especially in a community like this where there's so many juicy things to do and get involved in. And especially we've seen that with Ecovillage Findhorn. I know that when I was just voted on as a board member, I got an immediate message from someone that said, "Oh, will you now help us with the roads and Northwinds?" I was like, what? Not quite. And so we have to be really clear, I think, and that helps us to make those decisions when we know, actually, this is what we stand for, and we need to have those boundaries that can help us as much as we'd like to do other things. And there's a great strength in that as well, not getting mission drift, staying within our mission, but do it really well. And people can then support that because they know who you are, what you're doing, and how they can also get on board with that. And that really helps.
Yeah, I think being able to say no is very important sometimes, and it's not always well received, but you've got to say no. And I think the last piece I'd offer is to remember that we have to keep something for ourselves, right? You can throw yourself into this so wholeheartedly when it is a passion, and it does meet that intersection. You can sometimes forget to keep something for yourself and some time and some space and some energy just to actually live your own personal life. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. So the first thing I have to do is I have to apologize to Gordon because I put him in the wrong section. I'm sorry. I made you another chair next to Jane. Okay. And I have to put this here because Dawn and Alicia from the Bakehouse really, really, really wanted to be here, but quite obviously they didn't get away. So we had prepared it so their logo sits here. And they sit for all those people that could sit here, but they really wanted to be here. So, the rites of passage. What I thought about when I thought about the rites of passage was the Chinese character for crisis. As J.F. Kennedy popularized the incorrect interpretation that the Chinese character for crisis is of two parts, one danger, one opportunity. Even if it's not completely correct, it's still pretty clever. So I still think we can take inspiration from that. And the other one is liminal space. It's one of these words that goes around like mycelium and things like that. But liminal space is that space of uncertainty. But liminal cells are also those weird things that don't have any function on the caterpillar, in the skin folds of the caterpillar, and yet they become an integral part of the DNA of the butterfly. So please welcome our caterpillars and butterflies who are sitting in the rites of passage section, and they will do the same thing again. This time we start on the other end. We can't always start with you, gentlemen. Let's start with Stefano and hear from you why you sit in this section.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Stefano, and I sit here in the rite of passage as co-owner of La Bohème, since we are going through, together with my partner, we're moving to a new adventure, and so there is still quite a lot of uncertainty and possibilities about what is going to happen with La Bohème as a business.
Hi, my name is Francine, and I'm sitting here for Inner Links. I have a love and passion for the game, and yeah, I'm also keen that the tool keeps existing, moving forward in time. And yeah, I'm a member of the Findhorn hub. So that's why I'm here. I just think it's such a great tool that can be very helpful to everyone.
My name is Sylvia. I'm sitting here in this section because the theatre company, Charity or Theatre, transformed itself into a charity called Theatre of the Seven Directions, of which I'm a director.
Hello, my name is Bruce, and I'm here in support of having the Arts Centre, the Murray Arts Centre, flourish in our community while it goes through all sorts of changes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julie, and I am sitting here in the Rites of Passage section because I took over Healthworks in Forres at a time where it was in a critical state. And at the moment, still working towards developing, and consolidating, and building it back up again. Thank you.
I'm Tim Slack. I'm the Executive Director for NFD. I'm here, but even though the company's been a long history, I'm here because we're actually going through a phenomenal transition and change. And the NFD of the past is not the NFD of the future. It's very different.
Hello, I'm Jim. I'm a trustee and teacher at Drumdewan School, which does seem to be quite a liminal space, but we're still going and strengthening. Thanks very much to the Ecopia who've helped us through a transition. Rites of passage, we very much, I think this is what keeps keeps the enthusiasm going is that we very much facilitate rites of passage for children in a very unique and needed way. And I must say, it's also a rite of passage for those who teach at the school, I would say, too.
I'm Ian Smith, representing Duneland Limited, and I'm here in the rites of passage because it's my job to get the company over there. But we're not quite there yet.
I'm Jonathan Caddy, and I'm sitting here. I'm representing the Findhorn Hinterland Trust as a very successful charity, and it has to look ahead, not just 10 years, 50 years, but 100 years and more, because it looks after the green burial ground, it looks after habitats and ecosystems, and what we do in 1 or 2 years does not really matter. It's what with the long term. And the challenge is that I'm the limitation of the organization right now, because no one will take on my job. And so we have to look at how do we transition into something that is sustainable and resilient well into the future. It's maybe different from other organizations because we're working with land yeah, it's maybe a little bit different. But I think it's important to sound that note here. Does anyone want to start, or shall I say a bit more?
Just following on from what I said before about different NFT, I think from personally, the opportunity to reshape and reorganize and redevelop an organization from scratch again is quite both exciting and daunting. In my journey, the last 18 months, I've been blessed by, as Wendy said, by support of individuals and people, but also a growing and effective staff team, and they make an enormous difference. I couldn't do what I'm trying to do without their support. And we're drawing on, from the outside world, we're drawing on the experiences, things like reinventing organizations and appreciative inquiry, surprise, surprise, if you know me, and also from Ricardo Semler's work on Maverick in South America, about how you devolve power. I'm not about trying to empower my staff, I'm trying to emancipate them. That's different. That's about shifting the power from the exec director to across the organization. And it is tough because we're also in transition in relation to our shareholder, the foundation, and the SKIO, and all those changes, the changes of the EF for the infrastructure. The Holdy Park is, if you visit this summer, you'll see it's much busier than previous years, and it's all got nice new tables and chairs, and that's all part of, hopefully, the next 2 years, a massive change in the Holdy Park at the same time. So we are in that transition, and it is actually, I have to say, that even though it's tiring, it's actually fun. And you forget, if you're running an organization, it can be really fun doing it, and also very funny.
Okay. So even though it was a critical time for Healthworks, what occurred to me was that if you embrace change, then and stay present in the moment, then the answers and the support and everything you need easily falls into place. I was really lucky that I followed on from Sally, who was the manager before me, and she was very supportive every step of the way. And also for the practitioners that work with us, they were also very supportive and had been doing what they do for a long time, and they support the community, and we all have a passion in what we provide to the community, and we're all very well supported in return. And for some of our long-term goals, which involved the plans for the building, we were supported by TSI for that, which we were very appreciative for. So as much as we give care and compassion, we have a lot to be appreciative for at Healthworks. Thank you. Who's next?
Okay, I can briefly say something. Yes, going from a company to a charity, has meant that we can do things like receive donations and collect gift aid and things like that. And it's all a bit new for us. And ideally, we're looking for somebody that could do it, that could help us. But yeah, so we're sort of going through those kind of growing pains, if you like, just getting our head round what we can do as a charity, applying for grants. And we do have Sean Vincent, who is helping us doing that. But it's sort of new stuff for the board. So yeah, that's so. Any volunteers of help, we're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, the reason why, as La Bohème, I'm sitting here in the transition is because of a new venture, a new adventure that will require me to move away from here in November. And so at the beginning of the year, we've been thinking, we are two business partners in this, we've been thinking on what to do with La Bohème, because of course it's a business that you created and it turns into your baby, kind of. Especially if the business is working, you want the transition to be the best possible outcome for the business itself. And yeah, it's a process that, of course, is exciting. There are so many possibilities and you can think on so many different outcomes and adventures and really like picturing the best possible. But then it's also daunting because so many things to make fall in place, and it's not only up to you. It's not only about you. Of course, I can have any idea and any desire coming to my mind, but then you have to deal with other people, legislation, regulation. You need, there's a whole load of things that you need to fall in place. Keeping in mind that in the end you want the best for your business because you want to leave something behind you that is as good, if not even better, than what you created.
Yeah, it's been quite a number of years. We've been talking about transition. It was really useful earlier in the year. We actually got Just Enterprise, consultants that came in, and we got together as a big team, because we are quite a big team. This is for the Findhorn Hinterland Trust. And it was useful. We were at Culern, and we had a session there. And it was very useful to have outside eyes look at what we're doing, to put the surveys out and so on. And, they were coming up with ideas, but ideas, what they were saying is, start small, start going in the right direction, and just build from there. Here's me trying to think of big visions of how to do it, but actually, to do it step by step. That's the way to do it. And I feel like it was really good to get outside help, outside eyes to have a look.
To add to Jonathan's comment is that the lesson for me the last few months or weeks actually has been change is about micro moments, and we would tend to go for the big changes, and I've learned actually it's not. The micro changes and the 1% then become 10%, then become 20%. So I've learned really hard that the tiny changes make a difference.
Yeah, I'll say something about where Inner Links is at, because the creators created the game, and as part of that process, many people were trained as a transformation game facilitator. I'm sure there's several here in the room. And some new trainers have also been trained up to deliver this training to people that want to become a facilitator. But this needs to be sped up at the moment because the creators are needing to step back a little bit. So I'm one of the people who is on an accelerated path, hopefully, to become a new trainer. So just so you know where Inner Links is at.
When I first joined the Murray Arts Centre as a trustee and director, we had an administrator and we had a marketing team, and it was all funded by Creative Scotland. And since then, that funding has dried up, and now the Murray Arts Centre is run by volunteers. And we're always looking for new funding. And at the last board meeting, one of the things that happened was about 3/4 of the way through, we realized that we were just all coming from scarcity. Like there's not enough money, there's not enough people, there's not enough time. And we just really got that we just weren't inspired in the way that we spoke about it. So we started to re-inspire ourselves into what really mattered, what was important to us about the Arts Centre. And for me, what's important about the Arts Centre is that I have a commitment to the world that all people live creative and fulfilling lives, and that people are lit up. And this is why I really care about the Arts Centre and ask for your support in whatever way you can think of giving it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, yes. Isn't it remarkable how much feeling can be conveyed in what shorter time? Ian, you want to say something more? Sorry? Oh, come down. We have a seat for you. We've finished the section, but you can still sit down. So, Terry, you need to swap over. Anne, would you? Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So this is two ladies. You don't have to speak anymore because sadly your section is gone. But it's so wonderful that you can be here. Thank you. Okay, they want you. Popular demand.
Hello.
So the question was, I'm sitting here because, and just a brief sharing how it feels to be sitting in the rites of passage. Well, beginnings or rites of passage, whichever, yeah.
Hello, I'm Dawn, and this is Alicia. Hi. We were in the beginning section because we've just taken over the bakehouse from David and Jan. And how does it feel? Incredible and overwhelming at times, for sure. Yeah, still settling in, I feel like. I have anything else to say right now, I'm sorry.
I'm so pleased that you could come. Well done. Thank you, thank you. And I know what it costs you because you've been rushing. Okay, we're now going. Thanks, Alex, that's so kind. We're now going to endings. And actually, this whole section, I need to put this microphone down. It was actually a conversation with Marilyn 2.5 months ago, something like that, where she told me about her experience of hospicing organizations. And I went, wow, what a concept. We've just gone through the foundations, implosion and turmoil and trauma. And how well did we do as a collective in hospicing that? I think we could have done a little bit better. But I didn't know about hospicing organizations. It wasn't a concept. So in talking with Fasil and the group, we decided we want to have a session like this every year to educate ourselves and each other what it means to hold each other through those phases. So endings. What else is there to say? I hand it over to Terry to say why he's sitting in the circle, and then you send the microphone this way.
So I'm Terry again, and I'm here representing the Findhorn Foundation Trust, as opposed to the SKIO.
And my name is Gordon McAlpine, and I'm here representing Murray Carshare, which is closing down at the end of this month, and which I was the founder of.
I'm Jane Duncan-Rogers, and I'm here because I founded Before I Go Solutions, the end-of-life planning company, in 2016, and at the end of last year I stepped down as a director.
My name is Liza, and I'm here because I've run Ecologia Youth Trust for 30 years, and we are closing.
God, feelings. George is my name, and my function at AEF Solar is changing.
Hi, I'm Jan. David and I are here because Dawn and Alicia are over there. We retired and we understood why you weren't here, because we wouldn't have been.
I mean, I have to start.
No.
I can. 30 years was really enough. And I'm really, really happy to be retiring and letting Ecologia go. And just listening to all the things that have been said, a year ago, I was training this person to take over from me and be a succession plan and all that. And she looked at the balance sheet and she said, Liza, when you're gone, I don't know how I'm going to pay my own salary. And I said, expect a miracle. And she said, that won't work for me. And then I understood that, I mean, my whole approach to this charity and working in Russia and Africa and stuff has been just to expect a miracle. And it always did, it always worked, and it's still working. And so I'm really, really happy that all the different projects that I've been involved with are complete, including being able to hand over the Uganda project, which was definitely needed more support, to another charity that is very keen on it. And I went to their anniversary dinner on Thursday night, and it feels really, really satisfying, because nobody's being let down, nobody's upset. And I've had lots of very loving letters saying, is it on? Oh, it is. Anyway, so tonight we're having our completion celebration in the Sunshine Room, and you're all welcome. And then I found a video of each of the 9 projects that we've been involved with since the beginning of time. And yeah, but I think that the message is to expect a miracle.
I think I want to speak about letting go, because I expected that I would be doing this, running this company for at least another 5 years, but I literally woke up one morning and I realized that I just didn't want to do it anymore. The joy had gone out of it for me, and that was a shock, and it took me a wee while to come to terms with that. And then I realized that if I could, my preference was that this company would continue on doing the good work that it has been doing internationally and locally. And I looked for somebody, and one person fell through and another person fell through, and I had to get to the point of realizing that I needed to put myself first and that I would close the company down if I had to. Well, God, even talking about that makes me feel a bit emotional, but I was willing to do that if I had to. And then somebody came forward to take it on, which led to me being able to step back, which was quite a process because it was sad. And I just heard yesterday that he just told me that he is probably going to be closing the company down. So that's another thing to come to terms with. And it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I'm in a new place. I have let go. I think that was probably the first word that I put in the word cloud. It started here in the family room in the park, so thank you very much, everybody. And if you haven't got your end-of-life plan done, please get it done.
Thank you, Jane. Gosh, I mean, what you just said there, it so resonates with me. And when I started Murray Car Share, I had this tremendous feeling of inspiration. That's the most clear time in my life, the one time where I really felt clear about this was something that I needed to do, that was for me to do. And surprise, surprise, it all flowed really smoothly. Starting was so easy, actually, thanks to this community and the enthusiasm here. And but actually, like Jane, there came a point when I was very confused after maybe about 10 years or something, and I didn't have the inspiration. I didn't know what the next step was. I knew that something had to change, something had to evolve. And I couldn't find that inspiration, that spark within me, that inner listening. And so I didn't know what to do. And I just let life, people around about me, things, circumstances around about me kind of take over, and followed an expansion path which was over-ambitious because an opportunity came along and someone said, push that opportunity and for funding, and it really was too much. And so that was I'm looking back on it now as a mistake, and noticing it's because I didn't have that inner listening, that clear inspiration. So maybe better not to do something when it's not coming from that place. A learning for me, and that's quite sad to admit. And looking around here, endings, Murray Car Share finishes in 2 weeks' time. The electric bikes finish today. Cars finish the 30th of September. And I'm just telling myself, looking around here, I know so many people here who have used the cars in that time, and I know that it's given a great deal of pleasure and convenience, and also the joy. Probably the highlight is the joy the members shared of being part of something, of being part of Murray Car Share, of being part of sharing cars, therefore reducing our carbon footprint on the earth and contributing to life in that way. So that's what I take with me as positive. And I also, my gratitude to the board of Murray Car Share. After I left the board, a couple of years later, they saw this, they saw the reality of it was not working and it was not going to survive. And they quickly, decisively took that decision. And I've closed it down pretty quickly and pretty effectively. And I think that's great when we can recognize when it's time to let go. Thank you.
Thanks. So letting go is for me, so I ran AES for 37 years, every day, all the day-to-day running, all the little things, the big successes, the little successes, the staff, the pains, the celebrations. And then I handed it over to a new board. and I stepped back, which is, that particular bit was very painful. It still is painful. However, I'm still very much part of the company, but not on the day-to-day running. So the letting go of 37 years of fiddling around basically and building it. The beautiful thing about it is that now I can do other things within the company or out with the company, and they are very exciting. So I should also be sitting there, because there are so many opportunities here, there, and everywhere.
This would normally be David speaking. It's my style, but I'll speak for him if that's okay. 34 years ago, we were working in the Phoenix together, and 19 years in the Phoenix and 15 years in the bakehouse. We were happy to retire and hand over to two of the beautiful young people that we've been working with. It's been one of the biggest privileges over those 34 years to work with the young people in the community. It's painful letting go, but it's also a good thing to do.
So David asked me to say something, and I think the best thing I can say is that it's 1-0 for Arsenal.
Hey!
Just in case you don't know, as I didn't until a little while ago, David is an avid fan of Arsenal, and it's a real sacrifice to be here because they're playing their one big game. Is that right? But he thought it's quite cool to hang out with us today. And I hand over to Alec for a very special something.
Thank you, Cornelia. Is the microphone on? Yeah, it is now. So it's been said that when we're in an age of youth and ambition, we have brassy expectations of what we can achieve. But when it comes to an older age, very often what we have instead are golden memories. And it's in that context, in this final section of honouring our life cycles, that it is my privilege to introduce to you the inaugural Ecopia Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, we have created this award in order to promote a culture of celebration and enterprise in the community. And the aim is for it to be presented annually to an individual who has provided outstanding service. And it's also my pleasure to announce, in what I suspect is a rather poorly guarded secret, that on this first occasion, the award is actually going to be given to two individuals who've made remarkable contributions to our collective life. And they are, of course, David Hoyle and Jan Boltby. So I'm just going to say a few words about their activities together and a little before. David began his Whole Foods career working in Guernsey in the 1970s in the Channel Islands. And then he moved to the United States and Canada, where he worked for Natural Foods and set up an organic trading company. He moved to Findhorn in 1990. Jan, of course, hails from Australia and arrived in the community at a similar time. And David would be the first one to say that he may often have been the public face and voice of much of what they achieved together, but there was always a team involved, and first and foremost in that team was Jan herself. Jan joined the Phoenix team and then joined the board of the Phoenix in 1999. So this award to both David and Jan honors their more than 30 years of building and holding a vision and doing what it takes to co-create a thriving local economy that empowers and serves. It would be impossible to cover all the details here, but the highlights include formulating a vision of a fairer, happier, and more nourishing society through the medium of a local food shop. Taking the Phoenix shop into community ownership, and as Jonathan, our keynote speaker, said earlier in the day, although there have been a number of other purchases of organizations in the community prior to that, it really was the first genuine community buyout process. As part of that process, initiating the creation of Ecopia in 2001 to be a holding vehicle for some of the finance for that process. Being involved in the creation of the Findhorn Bay Community Association, a precursor to today's NFA, creating the bakery in what had been the lollipop shop, with the first bread being created there in the year 2000, and then, of course, expanding into the Findhorn village and the bakehouse in its many different guises, and taking ownership of it ultimately and running it until earlier this year when, of course, it was handed over. So before I present the awards, we're now going to see a few slides and give you some information on the screen to give you some idea of Jan and David's contributions, including a short talk that David gave at a conference in this very building in 1996 and which stole the show.
If you want your dreams to be, build them slow and surely. Small beginnings, greater ends. Heartfelt work grows purely. If you want your dreams to be, build them slow and surely. Small beginnings, greater ends. Heartfelt work grows purely. If you want to live life free, take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Simple joys are whole.
And I believe essentially that if we look at right livelihood, it's something around that it's the right life for us. That when spirit comes in, whatever form, that what seems to follow then is an opportunity to express that spirit. Now, if I looked at the big picture now and said, that this would be my life, working at the till, unloading shelves and all so on, I said, no, I want a bigger calling. I want to do more than this. But in fact, it is an absolutely profound place to be for myself, and it has filled my life. And as hopefully we'll show during the talk this morning, every aspect of me is challenged and inspired and stimulated and irritating and opinionated and all the other things. It's a very rich life doing the sort of shopkeeping that I've been privileged to do.
All beginnings, greater ends, heartfelt work grows purely. If you want to live life free, take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Simple joys are holy. Day by day, stone by stone, build your secret slowly. Day by day, you'll grow too. You'll know heaven's glory. If you want to live life free, take your time, go slowly. Do few things, but do them well. Simple joys are holy.
So finally, I just want to say to David and Jan, thank you on behalf of the entire community for all your hard work, dedication, inspiration, and generosity over many, many years. We're very grateful and wish you all the very best. Please now accept these inaugural Lifetime Achievement Awards plus bonus hamper with our thanks and appreciation.
Somebody told us that you liked local flowers. And I only heard Saturday late afternoon, no, Friday late afternoon from Dawn, who told me that you liked wildflowers and local flowers. I walked through Cologne and sadly there weren't any there. And then I found Ute from Mandala Garden. And she said, oh, I'm so busy, I have an open day tomorrow. There's no way that I can, oh, but I have a friend and she has a garden. So I picked up on Saturday afternoon this small bouquet for you. And I wasn't allowed to pay for it. Nor was I allowed to pay for anything in that little hamper. You said, when I asked you what would be a treat, you said some local food and Ethiopian coffee. So a little hamper for you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
David and I, we're very touched and probably beyond words. It's been a privilege, a journey, challenging, exciting, all of those things. Thank you.
can just come up. So Jonathan and Tessa and Marilyn are just going to have a little conversation to bring this incredible day to a wrap. You okay with that, Jonathan?
Sounds good. I want to begin by saying that I think that people working at the coalface in pretty much any kind of initiative can lose sight of just how special their work is. It's been 12 years since I've lived here, and the development, the depth, I really want to mirror back to you, to be the eyes, the outsider's eyes, looking back to you and really saluting you in the work that you're doing. I wrote a book chapter a few years back called From Islands to Networks, A History of the Ecovillage Movement, in which I traced, not just in Findhorn, but globally, the degree to which ecovillages, which previously had been somewhat not particularly well integrated into the surrounding communities, into the surrounding hinterlands, the degree to which new networks were developing, which seemed to me to be hugely hopeful, that actually ecovillages were becoming much less bubbles and much more generative nodes in networks of initiatives. And that chapter needs to be rewritten and updated. In fact, I think there's a book in there. So watch the bookshelves of the Phoenix for the arrival of a new title.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'll look forward to that. I must say that it is hard to find words at the end of today. Lots of things we say around here, including, where are you, Liza? Expect a miracle. Feels like this is what the day was like. Many of you who know me know that I'm a radical optimist. And so in the days when we don't have something like this, some people feel challenged. But I don't think any of us can feel anything other than optimism today. Because what we've seen is that our enterprise, our economies are not just serving us locally, but they reach right out across the world. We saw that with Galen talking about the work that was tried out in the Calaran Pond, and now it's in London and it's in Bristol. We saw it with AES Solar. How about, having it on the top of the castle for Edinburgh. But one of the things that I do when I'm working out in the world is I really feel the changes happen locally. And that's what we have here, is such a powerful spirit and energy locally. I started today by saying that's for me what economy is. It's the energy that really flows through the community, both visibly and invisibly. I saw Jan earlier today and said, "Hi, Jan. My friend Lisbeth's here, and we just wanted to say hi again." And she looks at me and she goes, "Let me see, oat milk, one shot in your mug." So she doesn't even remember. Yeah, she even remembers Marilyn, but she remembers. Oh yes, also, and the orange cardamom cake. That's how she greeted me. So I felt like my heart was totally touched that she would remember me at all, because, I don't think I'm an everyday bakehouse customer, but she remembered the heart and soul of our relationship. So I feel that's something that we have seen today. We wanted to connect all the dots. We still do, and I will collect the pages at the end of today. And we saw what Jonathan showed us that was down in Totnes, that wonderful diagram that could show all the interconnections across the nodes in Totnes and all the ways that we are interconnected. We're interconnected and we are all one. So I feel like this has been a day where we actually had an experience of that very deeply, with a lot of fun and with just incredible expertise and commitment. So I want to say deeply, deeply thank you for everything that everyone has brought here. And I don't have the last word. I'll give it to Tessa.
This has been an incredibly inspiring, enriching day full of depth and a lot of love and care. I've been particularly struck by, I know all these enterprises exist, I know all these organizations exist, they're around here in the park somewhere, floating around. But it's actually nice to be all gathered here today in the hall as one, to see the absolute diversity, the breadth, the depth of all the different areas and dimensions of regeneration that we have here, this incredibly rich ecosystem that is here, and not just here, but also inspiring other communities, even further afield in Murray, hopefully in Scotland. We're really creating something so beautiful here, and thank you for everyone being a part of that. Jonathan wants to say something, but I still want to finish up. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. I just wanted to ask everyone from the core team to stand up. Facile, Jane, Edward, Lorraine, Cornelia, George. And is the Pia and Evert here as well? Yes. I just want to give a huge round of applause to you guys for making this happen. And Alex, thank you. This wouldn't have happened without your vision, your hard work, and your dedication. Thank you so much. And blessings on all the future Enterprise Fair days that we're going to have. Yes, well done. Wonderful, yes.
And as it runs by me, I would also say that what I saw us mesh weaving together today wasn't just what we are required to do for the local place plan, which is to do more place-making kinds of research and reports. So that's focusing on buildings and land changes and our use. What we really saw here today was the place caring that really underlies all that, and you don't get good placemaking without the place caring that is beside it, behind it, over it, above it. So thank you for being able to just really enjoy that for the whole day. Thank you. And Jonathan.
So just a few words in terms of the legacy that today may have left, that I aspire to in terms of a tangible outcome. One is the idea of there being an annual local entrepreneur forum. Those who were here this morning when I was talking about the local entrepreneur forum in Totnes, to have it as an annual event can really build momentum. So I really will put you in touch with people, the guy who created the local entrepreneur forum in Totnes. The second is that it's in terms of that many areas, many councils will have a local economic development promotion officer, but their training is often about how to more deeply have the local economy linked up to the global economy rather than in terms of networking within. I spoke this morning about the role of the broker, the cluster broker in UNIDO projects, as being someone whose role is to identify possible linkages within the local economy and to build, I use the analogy of a spider building a web, of connecting, identifying and then helping enterprises to realize the great potential that exists for building networks within the local economy rather than continually being dependent on the corporations from the outside. So I have an aspiration to that actually, and this is something maybe you could be in conversation with your local council folk to bring in an economic development officer whose job was, rather than linking out, was to promote networks within.
I think that's a wonderful idea and image to leave on. Yes, and weave on. Okay, Tessa's so practical. She whispers to me, you know, many hands make light work. And so we do invite your help in order for us to bring this day truly to a wrap. So if you're able to help us make this place available to the next group who are going to use it at about 6:30, I think. So thank you so much. And it's a wrap. It's truly a wrap.